Welcome to the Veteran Show. I'm one of the hosts, Levi Miller.
And I'm the other host, Tom Lujan. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to the show. I'd like to especially welcome my old friend and former, still a comrade, I guess you could say all these years later, but Cain Grantham. I came to the old Army vet. I met Cain in Korea about 30 years ago in the cab.
That's a long time.
So it'd be nice to have Cain on. He'll bring us a little bit of it'd be neat to hear what he's got to say. I know I've talked to a couple other people about El Salvador. So Cain, I'd like to welcome you to the show, Cain, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. I don't want to hear that 30-year thing.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. Well, don't feel bad. Levi's older than us.
Oh yeah. I'm a granddaddy soldier, Cain.
Oh, man.
Damn it.
Wow. So anyway,
And I tell you what, as you get older. Oh yeah, well, and the worst part is, as you get older, the years go quicker.
Oh, it go by real quick.
Yeah, my memory. I'm trying to get my memory right, because I do remember Tom. I think I talked to him once or twice.
All right.
Although we were over in Korea, he actually was a skull bandit, is what I call it. Because he always boomed the dip off me. That was funny.
I think he was going to bring that up.
Thomas, we got a good man over here telling about you, right?
All right, Kay. I'll tell you what. What we'd like to do is have you give everybody a quick breakdown what your military career was like, please.
Okay.
When you went into basic and your duty stations, including just give a quick breakdown where you went, and we'll ask questions from there.
Okay. Wow. I started out at boot camp at Fort Knox, Kentucky, back in 1985 in October. Went through a real hell of a winter there where we had, 3-4 foot snow, doing push-ups in the snow. Graduated there, went to AIT at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and left there, went to jump school at Fort Benning, Georgia, which was a hoot, making phone calls at the phone call center and everything like that. Left there, went to Fort Bragg, where they tortured the hell out of me and make me go to places in Central America that I didn't want to go to.
Wow.
That's how you got promoted back then, when you had a platoon sergeant that didn't like you, right?
Right.
And after that, I went to Korea for a little while. Met some great people over there. I didn't think I was going to meet those great people, but it was a lot of fun. It was an eye-opening experience, being in a different time zone, a different world. Left there and came back to the United States. I couldn't eat burgers for about 6 months because I got used to eating Korean food. And
wow.
I loved it. I love Korean food. So I got back here in the United States, and it was like, what am I going to do? They stationed me. I joined I got out of the regular Army, and I went to the Texas National Guard, and I needed a full-time job because my ex-wife and me were going to have kids. So I got an active duty special work job working with U.S. Customs as an inspector with the, what was it called, Task Force Guardian. It was the counter drug deal. And I worked with them until I became a police officer with the University of Houston. And then after that, I started doing what I do now, is make gasoline, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool making gasoline. Not too many people can do that. So from there to now, it's like 20 years later, and I'm loving life, man. Loving life.
Yeah. Well, Korea, I'm familiar. You know, I know you were flying ops over there from '88 to '89, right? Correct.
I say it one more time, Tom, because I didn't pick that up. You kind of broke up a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Levi.
Uh-huh.
If you can't adjust a little bit, me and Kane are both having problems hearing.
Okay. Let me see. Hold on. Okay.
No, I was in Korea. You were there. What exact time period were you there in Korea? I know you were with the Cavs, but when did you get there?
Oh, okay. I think I got there in, like, I want to say it was May of 1988. It was right before the Olympics and everything was going on. They were putting up the tank traps and all that crap. And,
yeah, well, you got there right just right after we moved to mobile.
Right.
You got there about a month after.
Well, actually, when I got to Korea, I was actually supposed to go to the 8th Army. And I was going to be at, I can't remember, Humphreys or another post. And I got there, and since I was an E4, and instead of an E5, they gave my job away to somebody else.
Huh.
So I was at the cattle farm for an extended period of time, right? They were trying to find a place for me to go. And I ended up meeting some guys in the cab, and I talked to those guys, and they kind of put a good word in for me. And then that's how I ended up in the cab, right? Even though they didn't need flight ops, because they had Lodi, who was a helicopter mechanic being flight ops, right? They had to kick him out and put me in, so that made me good and him bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, were you a crew chief then?
Were you what?
Were you the crew chief then?
Or
No, I was straight up fly operation.
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I never got that crew chief deal. You know? Even though,
Oh, I thought you were flying off, so you had me confused for a second.
no, in my defense, I tell you, I was flat out leaving Fort Bragg, and I left. The same time that I left, Lieutenant Colonel Gene Lacoste, I guess, left Fort Bragg at the same time, and I had worked with that guy for a little bit, and I guess G3 or brigade operations. And so when I came to Cav, he recognized me as, hey, I know that specialist right there, but I don't know where I know him from. And it was like, yeah, you know me from Honduras and Fort Bragg and everything else. So, kind of worked out.
Oh, okay.
I ended up being with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I know you did it. Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know you did a year there, and I was there with you through, and yeah, you were there, well, you were there for the freaking '89 Team Spirit then.
Right.
Yeah. That's the only one I ever went on, unfortunately.
Yeah, what is that? Hey, Thomas, what is that? When you said spirit, what is that?
Team Spirit is kind of like Germany has the reforger exercise.
Uh-huh.
With Team Spirit, I forget when they started, somewhere in the 70s. Team Spirit was just a deployment exercise to bring units over from the States, like the 25th ID, 9th ID sometimes, or 7th ID, all the Pacific Basin units, they would deploy to Korea for training.
Okay.
What's funny with us, we deployed south. We went south of Seoul for the Team Spirit, not north. We didn't go any further north. They deployed you down to Wonju. We were down the Wonju area for Team Spirit. I only had to go in '89, so the only year I ended up going in my time over there. So,
But it was great because we got to leave being up north, dude. That was the best part.
yeah. So, and
we had to get used to all the groups of people down in the south. And the only thing that I didn't like about it, really and truthfully, was we had to go in a porta potty that had like
Oh yeah, that's what they did.
Human waste stuff and spreading it around rice paddies, and everybody's over there eating that rice. It's just to me.
Oh.
I don't know. That's me.
Well, that's probably why my feet are still are screwed up to this day from the damn rice, walking the rice paddies full of crap. So, hey, Kate, we do get a lot of Korean talk out here, so I want to change steps here a little bit. And you got a, like I said, you got a little special difference there. You're one of those rare people who got to spend time down in El Salvador back in the 80s during all that stuff. And how long were you in El Salvador to start with? Did you go down there for?
Well, actually, I was in El Salvador for probably about 6 months. And then I was in Honduras for another 6 months. And I was in Panama for another 6 months after that. But that was all because of the big guys at Fort Bragg want me to be over in Central America. It had nothing to do with unit assignments or hey, you're the special ops guy going over there to do this and do that. Now while I was there, I did meet some pretty interesting people that work for the federal government that I can't talk about. But anyway, those guys kind of directed me in the way of this is how it is over here in Central America, and you're going to be visiting these places, so you got to watch your back. Because there's a lot of people that got kidnapped over there at that particular time. Well, I wasn't one of them, thank God, but it happened.
Well, Chris, what was your duties in El Salvador? I didn't even know we had soldiers there.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of people doing a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about. But we have the majority of our helicopters patrolling in Panama and Honduras. At that time, the Sandinistas, I think, were giving us a big problem. So every now and then, with live fire going off, the helicopters would go down. People would have to cross the border. I mean, there's no fence or anything over there like that. So the crash and rescue was to get anybody that crashed in any designated area that was outside of where we were back to where they need to be. And I was always part of that group. So I was even part of that group over in Korea too. So that's just the way it was. So
Korea. Yeah, I know how it went. You get on the slick, you flew over the coast, you had beach parties and drink a lot of beer. I'm sorry.
Right.
But
right.
Stuff does happen all the time, as we all know, even in Korea. And see, what's funny, you mentioned that about El Salvador, Cain. But you know what? That's the kind of stuff you never hear about in the damn news. Hardly.
But I got a funny story, man. When I left Fort Bragg to go to Honduras, I was on the phone with my mom, and it was a payphone, and it was right on post, and the alert horn went off in the middle of our conversation, and she's asking me, "Hey, what is that noise in the background?" I said, "Mom, that's just the alert horn. Don't worry about it." She goes, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, that means I gotta let you go because I gotta go get ready to muster for this alert." And she goes, "Okay, so you're gonna call me after it's over?" I said, "Yeah, it's probably a couple hours, but yeah, I'll call you right back." So it's like 8 o'clock at night. Well, about 8:30, I have all my gear and everything, and then I get in my truck, and then we drive over to Pope Air Base, and they tell us, "Okay, guys, load up on this C5." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, we load up, get on the C5, and we wait there for another 45 minutes, and it's like, "Okay, the airplane's taking off." What the hell's going on there? Well, we get in the air, we fly, and they go, "Okay, gentlemen, ladies, the reason we're in the air is we got to go to Honolulu Air Base, Honduras, and we'll be there for an extended period of time. Can't tell you exactly how long, but we're going to be there." So I was like, "Oh crap, man, this shit's going down."
Damn.
When I landed in Honduras, it was, wow, man, I don't even remember how many hours it took to get there before Bragg, but when I landed in Honduras, he told us we got to go through customs. So I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't check my bag because I probably got some stuff that I probably shouldn't have brought. But the customs people standing there, they're all looking at us and everything, and they look at a couple bags and they said, "No, I'm gonna take those bags." Yeah, okay. Can you undo your lock? Yeah, undo my lock, and they look at the first layer and okay, you can lock it back up, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. I didn't dig through my stashes, but okay, cool. So I get my assignment, and I think I was getting home from the unit there. It's flat out, and I ran the whole flat out while I was there. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, anyway, needless to say, about a month went by, and I forgot about that phone call I had with my mom, and then I got called into the colonel's office, who was in charge at that particular time, and the sergeant major that was there kind of escorted me in there, and I'm wondering what the hell I did over in Honduras to get called in front of this colonel's office who I'd never met before. Well, it turns out to make a long story short, I didn't call my mom. So she called the Red Cross. And the Red Cross contacted whoever they need to contact, get that colonel, who told me while I was standing in front of him, you will be calling your mom today. And I said, yes, sir, I sure will. As soon as I leave this office, he goes, no, you're not leaving. There's a ham radio operator in the next room. You're calling her now. So I called. And I was like, hey, Mom, how's it going? And she's like, hey, baby, I love you. I miss you. I said, okay, well, don't say all the loving things that you want to say because, you know, I'm talking to you through a ham operator and everybody in the world can hear what I'm saying to you right now. And she says, well, why didn't you call me back? And that's the only thing I remember after. So, yeah. That was probably one of the I don't know, more emotional, trying, get on my nerves type situation I had to deal with while I was there. But, you know, it kind of brought me back to realizing that, you know, when you have family everywhere, other than where you're at, when you're in the military, with things going on, you forget about them, but you can't forget about them. You gotta always be in touch with your family, right? Because we always think about them.
You're right.
Think about them. So, you know, I mean, the whole going to Central America, I know very little Spanish, but the Spanish that I know is because I'm from Texas, and there's a lot of Hispanics here, and, you know, it was in high school, we would, hey, my soul, what's going on, you know? I try that over there, and it's not the same thing. So I didn't get in the groove with being over there in Central America until I had like one of my Hispanic soldiers with me, and after that it was like he took me in wherever I needed to go, and it was like Saul was like one of the best guys that I ever met in my life. You know, we're still friends today, just like me and Tom. So, I mean, he helped me out, I helped him out, and it was a different world over there. Like I say, there's a lot of things that were going on over there. Joey Tesla's Bravo has control of that. We can't ever talk about it, which is cool with me. You'll never hear about it in the newspaper, which is cool with me also, until something happens to me, like physically wise, like you had to take these drugs so that you didn't get malaria and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
That I would say it would come out, you know. I mean, if I die of natural causes, whatever that is, you know, nobody seems to know, especially when it comes to veterans. I mean, it's just over and it's done. There will be no book about it. There'll be no TV show about it. None of that kind of crap. But yeah, there were people over there that we did some things for the country, for the government, for the Army, for the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, and you know the Coast Guard was even there. I mean, it was all branches over there at Joint Task Force Bravo. So I can't say that it was just me, right? But I can say that there was guys who over there in the 80s who know exactly what I'm talking about, and they say the same thing. Well, it was over there. We can talk about a lot of things about Korea. We can talk a lot of things about, Fort Bragg. Well, some things about Fort Bragg, but we can't talk a lot of things about what went over in Central America.
All right.
Yeah, that's just the way it was, the way it is, and the way times are now, you be that guy, I'm not going to be that guy, because I don't need people knocking on the door at this stage in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here it is, 30 years. The thing is, unless they had you sign what the hell you call that statement? Sign a statement where you can't talk about it, though. That's 30 years later, and of course, towards the latter 80s, there was the Iran-Contra deal that happened, or the Iranian-Contra deal that happened with Reagan.
Uh-huh.
So, that involves El Salvador, of course, you said you did a lot of, you were quite honest, you knew the missions that went on, so, but people were being shot at constantly over there, weren't they?
Oh, man, yeah, they were getting shot at. I tell you what, when we left to come back, when I finally left to come back, we couldn't take our tents back. We couldn't bring them back. We could bring the clothes that we had in the packs back. We couldn't bring any of the ammo that we took, or anything other than our regular standard gear. And when we got back to Fort Bragg, I asked, hey, man, why can't we bring those tents back? GP mediums, GP large, all that. And they said, oh, because these mice, these small mice, they get into the fibers of those tents. And we can't bring those back because, we'll be introducing this mice to the United States. And it'd probably be just like some wild thing, and it would go everywhere and, be an eco nightmare. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do with the brass and the bullets? What does that have to do with the magazine or any of those stuff?
Yeah.
You need to move along right now. Don't ask any more questions. Okay, thank you. So I didn't ask questions. There was a lot of things that we did not bring back. Right? We brought the helicopters back. Actually, we smuggled some. Did I say that? We found some parrots. Okay? They had beautiful birds over there.
Okay.
We found some parrots. And, back then, the crew chiefs, they were crafty guys, man. They put them in the hell holes of those helicopters, so they stored them on the C-5, and we didn't know that particular time that a lot of times they didn't pressurize those cargo holes, so, a lot of birds didn't make it, but some did. I tell you what, one of the most interesting meals I had going down there getting drunk in Camiago on a weekend pass, 2 o'clock in the morning, man. I think you can imagine it. 2 o'clock in the morning, you had a few beers, little smacks or whatever with your buddies, and you're headed back. You got to ride a bus back to base, and you're hungry, right?
Right.
And there's a guy sitting over there with this little ice cream cart, but he's barbecuing or grilling some meat. It smells good because it's nice and flavorful type meat, right? So, hey man, how much is that meat on the stick? Oh, it's $1, $1 each one. Shit, I got $5. Can I get 5 of them? Yeah. You eating on it, your buddy's looking at you like, hey dude, are you really eating it? Yeah, man, it's good, man. You gotta have one, about $5 worth. You gotta have one. Nah, man, I'll pass, What do you mean you pass? You gotta try one, man. Do you see any cows around here? No. What do you think you eat? Man, this is the best beef on a stick that I've ever had.
Oh.
This is okay. Come around this side of the cart over here. And I go around this side of the cart, and there's this little, dog-looking thing hanging out there, I'm like, so it's dog? He's like, nah, dude, that ain't a dog. What is it? It's a monkey, man. Wow, I'm eating monkey? Yeah.
Ooh.
Dang, this is the best monkey I've ever had in my life. And I continue to eat
Wow.
It was good, man. But hey, there ain't monkey over there, man. Hey, when it roams, do like the Romans do, right?
Hey, you know, look
Right.
at Fred. Look at the damn French.
Hey.
They love to eat horse. They like to eat horse in France.
Hey, I'm just telling you, man.
They would follow me to eat horse. Well, would follow me to eat horse pork than would dog.
Okay.
Yeah? Hey,
Or monkey.
when I was growing up, we ate pig feet. So, what do you say about that? You know? Yeah, you had a pig. What? Pigs have feet? And, ooh. But, yeah, we ate that. Big big ears.
Uh-huh.
Big ears.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And then, oxtails and greens, chitlins, or pig intestines, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, think about it. If you think about it, ain't no way I'm going to eat that, man. No way. There's people over there eating scorpions. Oh, let's have these grilled scorpions.
Eating what?
Ew. Grasshoppers, man. Let's put some chocolate on those grasshoppers. That tastes even better. Yeah. And then, you got the people who, I guess it's a monkey or a cat or something. They eat the coffee beans and then they pick them out and then they cook it and then they roast it or whatever and they sell that stuff for like $500 a can. I'm like, wait a minute.
Gee.
Did a cat just poop on it and now you're drinking his coffee? Oh, yeah, man, it's the best roasted coffee you can buy. So, like I say, when in Rome, do like the Romans. When in Rome, do like.
Well, it's like Korea. People get skittish even back in the 80s you get the meat on the stick downrange.
Uh-huh.
And, you always assume it was pork, but, you never knew if you were getting pork or dog still.
Especially when you see the dog strapped to the tree, right, Tom? It's like,
oh yeah.
Dog. And they said during the Olympics, okay, all you people do not strap dogs to trees. Put them up in your backyard. We don't want the Americans to think that. And everybody else in the world to think that we eat dogs.
Oh, man.
You never knew it. Yeah, you never knew.
What they'll do is they'll take a dog while it's still alive. I remember a guy getting caught in the 90s while I was a contractor up at Camp Hobie. Korean guy had a Katusa snack bar. One had pretty good food. And there's somebody, he got caught by a couple of GIs. He was beating the dog to get the adrenaline going. Then they kill it. To get the adrenaline flowing through the blood and the meat, and then they kill it. And, that was, but, then again, I eat a lot of different foods in Korea that you wouldn't eat here in the States, but, here in the States, we eat a lot of different things. And,
that's true.
Frog legs. I never grew accustomed to eating those. So, and, not that I'm a big, any type of fish or seafood fan. Anyway, I know you are, Cain. So,
yeah.
Cain likes the shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
I love shrimp.
Well, I do too. Yeah, I love the shrimp.
I hear my son in the background here.
But once a week, Cain's posting a picture and information about the shrimp he just cooked this weekend on Facebook. But Panama, where were you at in Panama then? You said you did 6 months there too, huh?
Yeah, I got to Panama, I guess, a couple of years before we went in there and took out our head drug dealer over there. And it was basically just, it was sort of like a relaxation place to go outside of Honduras and El Salvador. And it was they would fly the helicopters, the Blackhawks, whatever. Because we just got the Blackhawks back then.
Uh-huh.
Fly the Blackhawks with us, and they would buy all this shrimp in Panama, and then they would fly it back to Honduras. So for you to get to go on one of those runs, right? It was like a privilege or whatever I want to say. Right? It was like everybody didn't get to do that, and because of the situation that I was in, I got lucky, dude. Here I am, flat out, right? The only flat out guy over there. My unit finally gets there. When my unit gets there, President Reagan comes on the news and he says, "Okay, for everybody who's thinking that we're invading Honduras right now, we're not invading Honduras. It's an exercise for the 82nd and the 18th Airborne Corps over in Honduras." And that's a big lie, but whatever, we're just over here monitoring training exercises. Okay, cool. I can deal with that. So when I was with that, he was like, "I don't like the way that you that horn going, woo, that horn going off. And, me talking to you on the phone, he has to hang up. And I'm here for me for a month. I got to call Red Cross. The Red Cross is like, well, lady, we can't get in touch. And, oh, you're going to get in touch with my son. You get in touch with me, and of course, I feel like that little bit, you shrink like 25 feet, and you're like the spot in the chair, and you kind of jump off. That's how I feel. So, so going over there to Panama was like an R&R for us back then.
Yeah.
2 years later it changed. The whole environment changed, to tell you truthfully, because we had to go get Noriega, and thank God I was in Korea when that happened. But it happened, and the same guys that I was with that stayed at Fort Bragg, those guys had to go over there and get that guy. That's just,
yeah. Now you were down in South America before you went to Korea, right?
Yeah, simple. Yeah, I was there. I was loving it. But you know what? The alternative was MTFO. And you say, what? MTFO. That's what they call it. Multi-Forces and Observers. And that was the alternative to going to Honduras. And that was to go hang out in Egypt, and you have to work with the UN guys, right? You get this little orange medal. It's orange with a bunch of little stripes on it or whatever. And, of course, you go over there, you wear your beret or whatever, and you dealt with a lot of stuff that dealt with Middle Eastern stuff. Yeah. That's pre Gulf War, all that yada yada jazz stuff, right? But you're in Egypt. Why Egypt? I had no idea. But that was the place they picked, and that's what he sent to Fort Bragg.
I like to get him back on. In fact, he called me right before the radio we started the show. But Harold Mason used to go when he was at 24th ID at Fort Stewart. He went to one or two what they call them, the exercises they had in Egypt. They would go over there in Bright Star.
Right.
And when we had Harold on a few weeks ago, he briefly touched on it, but we kind of ran out of time there. We had like all 5 or 10 minutes. And I know Harold talked about it a little bit. I would have to go back and listen to the show, to be honest. And it's on. And like this show, what'll happen, this will play out just so you know it for a week, then we'll podcast it. So that way you could, people can constantly share it or listen any time. And so, but yeah, you mentioned Egypt. Harold could talk about that a little bit. He has, because he would go over to Bright Star. So, see, a lot of that stuff, people like what you were talking about with South America came, most people again didn't know about, especially in the 80s. Bright Star, I never heard about that exercise in Egypt until many years later.
Well, and like I said, there was a lot of stuff going on at Fort Bragg, man. I'm telling you right now.
I think the Army had a lot of stuff. Huh?
They had to find people, right?
Okay.
What are you gonna? Well, yeah, I don't want to say the gay guys. I understand the troublemakers, right? Because I was always designated troublemaker. So of course I had to go my way, but one of my other friends, who was actually my downstairs mate, they sent him over there to Egypt. So of course we compare notes and everything. We keep in touch just like me and you keep in touch. And he posted pictures that he has over there, and it was great for him. I posted pictures that I have from Honduras and over there down south, and it was good for me. I mean, it worked out for us, but the powers that be saw it as a way to get rid of those guys, right? But it ended up making us better people. It ended up making us better people. It made us more cultured people, right?
Yeah.
But the people that wanted to go, well, I don't want to go to Honduras, right? I want to go down there. Just like the guys who went to go for, I want to go. They end up going to the hardcore. I want to mess some people up, man. You know, they end up going and they didn't have a good time. Well, why didn't they have a good time? Because they would have messed people up. You know, it's not all about messing people up. Sometimes it's about just, you know, finding out what it's like somewhere else, right?
Right. I understand.
The whole us fighting battles and all that crap. Okay, that soldier gets soldier, yeah. This guy shooting the man, shooting this guy. But when you're in a country, I mean, you're in a different place, man. It's like leaving Texas for me and going to Illinois and hanging out with you, right? So when I go to Illinois, I'm like looking around, making sure that, you know, I got my own stick because, yeah, you're my buddy and everything, but somebody might be trying to get me there. Right? So when I'm in Texas, it's like, I already know what to look at, right? I know that guy coming out of the store right there, he kind of looks like he's not in the right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, but in Texas, you know, everybody carries guns. So we're all like walking around, you know, even the little 4-year-olds, they carry guns. They got that little guns in that little 4-year-old thing. And so they're ready to shoot people too, right? So, I want to be terrorist. This little kid, this 4-year-old kid. Hey, put your gun away, kid. You know, so, I mean.
Wow, you have time.
Well, you know, the thing I found in Levi, Levi and Cain, the thing I found out over the years, people who are from Texas, no matter if they're black, white, Mexican, they'll tell you they're Texans.
Oh, yeah.
They're not anything else. They ain't African Americans, they ain't Hispanic Americans, they're Texans.
Yeah. They bring that up all the time, right?
Oh, and that's what I've seen. They're proud to be Texans, and I've seen that for many different, you know, people, and even Asians are from there. They're Texans. They ain't anything else. They ain't an Asian American. I'm a Texan. Ain't they right, Kate?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I've seen that over the years, and many, you know, they're just that way in Texas. But now, Korea, I mean, I'm familiar with what you did in Korea, but you also, you knew what went on more with the aviation side after 88, because I got stuck playing training NCOs at.
Mm-hmm.
And so courtesy of First Sergeant Thompson, when you got there, he was the First Sergeant Echo Troop. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
If you remember Thompson, old Slade, he was the senior drill. In fact, that's when Steve Munoz, who I befriended then, and we went on to be friends till he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. And unfortunately, Steve was good people, good man. And, of course, he was a 19 Delta, by the way. But, Korea.
You remember TJ Sarasi, right?
Yeah.
He was on the crew chief pass, so he was on the crew chief. Well, he's a sergeant major in Maryland right now. And then, of course, Kelly.
God, he was fullback there, he's through.
Right.
So Mark Kelly, who was in fly to me, as a matter of fact, he worked under me in call-off and fly 2 E4s running flight operations over in Korea. Remember that?
Oh yeah, you and
Lord and everything behind that, because we were some hardcore E4s. But anyway, getting was going to say. Kelly ended up retiring Sergeant Major. Right? So
Yeah, I knew that. I've seen Mark.
A lot of guys that stayed in, and me personally, that just, it wasn't my gig. My younger brother was in the Navy, and he got out after 8 years, and he went in after I did. He got out after 8 years, and he got a job at a refinery, and he was making all this money, and he was making fun of me and my noble deed of being in the military, not making any overtime. And I think I was making like $1,800 a month or something like that.
Not even.
Kidding. And yeah,
The thing, the million you were making that.
But I was kidding the BAQ separate rap, all that crap. But he pretty much convinced me the Army is not for you. So after 8 years, of course, I got out. So looking back at it, I could see these guys who stayed in, they dedicated themselves to it, but seeing how I am now and the things that I have now, I don't think I could ever put myself through 20, 30 years of, it doesn't matter what rank it was. I don't think I could do it. I mean,
yeah, there you go.
Because I didn't like the military, it was just because, I wanted things. I wanted to drive, new cars every year, have clothes, a lot of clothes, go.
Well, and the thing is too, once the wall came down, because when did you exactly get out? 90? Before Desert Shield, or did you get out after Korea?
I got out in 93, I like that.
Okay, 93. If you remember too, after Desert Storm was over, Drawdown was the name of the game. And it wasn't worth staying in. I got out in 91 after Desert Storm, after almost 10 years, 9.5 years in. And, people asked me, would you stay? And I said, no. I said, I don't really think about it. I said, it don't make a difference. But I said, you understand back then, when, we always said back then, once you hit the 10-year mark, it's do or die.
Okay.
And the thing is, I know a lot of guys who got out at the same time we did, and it wasn't worth staying in because, with drawdowns coming, promotions came to a standstill. It just after Desert Storm, and the wall came down before they could even start drawing down. Then Desert Shield and Storm happened, and after that, everybody knew what was going on. Korea, the mission ended up in the DMZ October 91. October 3rd to be exact. And so so the amount of troops needed wasn't there. Of course, Clinton was in office. And so we knew, there was a major drawdown through the 90s. Of course, they ended up doing little stunts in Kosovo and that, to Bosnia. And so, and of course, Clinton screwed up Somalia. I'll leave that alone. But,
He never went to Somalia.
Oh, I know. Well,
we never should have went to Bosnia. There's nothing over there for us. And then, there's still the same stuff that was still going on over there. And then you got this Boko Haram, whatever, however the heck said that name. This guy over here kidnapping all the little girls from this one village, and it's like, oh, well, we got a hard feeling for these little girls, and blah, blah, blah. What are we actually doing? I mean, they flattened the jungles in Vietnam and in Korea behind whatever, right? Oh, these people kicking us off, let's just flatten their whole country. But when they go over there to Africa, they don't want to flatten a whole bunch of that stuff over there that needs to be flattened, right? When you get getting chopping chopping people up with machetes and stuff like that, man, it's like, to me, okay, the people that are getting chopped up, they didn't have no guns, all right?
Wow.
So it was their gun protection or whatever. Somebody needs to do something.
Somalia, if you remember, started off as humanitarian. There's supposed to be a humanitarian thing. And somewhere along the line, after Clinton came in office, it became, let's hunt down the warlords. And of course, what still bothers me to this day, because a friend of mine was killed in what they call Black Hawk Down now.
Oh, yeah.
But a friend of mine, Jamie Smith, was killed in that mess. And, because that's when the idiots decide to go send the Rangers in by Humvees when they got Bradleys and M1 sitting in motor pools over there.
Right.
And so we ended up killing an additional 15, 16 guys on top of the ones that got killed in the top. The whole thing's a mess. I saw the movie when it first came out back in 2001, and I got it on DVD, but I kind of refused to watch it because a friend of mine, he left Korea. I met him first in Korea, and he left before you got there, Cain. I think he left late '87, but he was in the Blues platoon with me, and but 6 years later, I see, or not 6 years, but 14 years later, I see Jamie's face on the thing, and I knew about it, but I never really thought about it until I saw the movie. And at the end of Black Hawk Down, they showed the actual service members who were killed, and it really threw me off guard when I saw Jamie there. In fact, two of the guys that was in class, in fact, I was down in Georgia, believe I.
Okay, wow.
I forget I can't leave the town right now, but I was down there near Atlanta, and after the movie, they were getting ready to leave, and I just sat there kind of stunned in my seat at the theater. They said, "Let's go," and I said, "Just leave me alone." And so, and seeing Jamie up there really bothered me, and Molly was a mess.
The two Blackhawks that got shot down, that was from back then. It was called the Task Force 160, right?
Okay.
And,
based out of Fort Campbell.
160th. Yeah, now it's called 160th SAR. But the picture that I post on my Facebook every now and then, of me behind that 7.62 minigun in the helicopter, that was a picture taken by T.J. Saraki. Remember the guy I told you, Sergeant Major, whatever. Back when Task Force 160 came to Korea to recruit us to be in their unit because they knew we were going to leave, right? You only got to spend a year over there in Korea. So we met a lot of those guys while we were over there. And believe it or not, some of those guys I still know. But
Well, TJ, he was a Delta trooper.
Yes, he was a Delta.
He was Steve Muno's voice. He was one of Steven.
Right.
Hey, speaking of Korea and Delta Troop, first it was Captain Prescott, and then your guy, Captain Brown, who was head of flight ops, he ended up taking over Delta Troop at one time after Prescott left. I don't know if you're still there or not.
I don't know. Once I left Korea, I lost touch with Captain Brown, and that's probably one of the guys
Well, he was the one.
I was staying in contact with.
When he left Korea, he went to 160th down in Fort Campbell.
Right. Yeah, he wanted us to go with him, but we didn't go. Like I say, I was looking at getting out. I was looking at getting away. I had enough, and I just wanted to get away. So, like I say, if life would have went a different direction, I'd have went over there, and I'd have been over there probably being in that, hanging around with those Black Hawk Down guys. And, it's just, I don't know. You don't want to think about life like that, but when you know people that have to go through that kind of crap, it's like, why are we here? What's the real reason we're here? We're here for intervention. But what's the real reason we're here?
You totally right.
Political agenda. Somebody's political agenda.
Yep.
And,
every time.
That's what it breaks down to, right? All the guys that went to Vietnam, several of my uncles included, they came back, and it wasn't, hey, thank you for your service. It wasn't, hey, you did a good job, protecting the country. It was that you baby killer. You're a baby killer, you kill women, you're scaling the earth, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yeah, I was told a lot of that. Right.
Thousands of people. These guys didn't volunteer. Like, I volunteered. These guys didn't volunteer. They got drafted. And then they come back to the United States.
Yeah, I got drafted right back in the day.
I mean, they come back to the United States, and then people treat them like crap. Right? I volunteered for it. And what I volunteered for was to give my life up. Okay? But I see a guy in prison getting treated 10 times better than me or anybody else who served me for their life, right? They're going to get free medical, they're going to get free TV, they're going to get free whatever.
Yeah, they're going to get all of that.
What did I have to do? I had to earn everything that I do, and that includes that dried up MRE. I had to earn that MRE.
Well, Chris, we didn't have that when I was in service.
Damn MRE. Okay, they didn't just give me an MRE and say, "Hey, you go, Cain, and enjoy this meal," right? And then I eat that dehydrated meal, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, it's the greatest thing to crushed bread," you know, because I got it. I got something to eat, right? So these guys are eating this hot meal, sitting in the AC in their little prison cell, reading a book about how I can better my life, and I'm like, they're getting out of my time. That is not
Well,
right.
the sad part is the MRE or C rations, because I've seen both. But, you know, the MRE was a lot of times better than what the damn hot chow was in the field.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right.
The only thing the mess hall was good for is go steal certain things from and fill up a thermos full of coffee.
Well, Thomas, when they stop using C ration?
Last time I saw C rations was 84.
Okay, that's all we had in the days.
Yeah, because I got to Fort Riley. They were actually in April, May '84. They had MREs. Now we went to NTC Fort Irwin for a month for training there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there, when we were getting ready to head out to the field, they turned around and gave us, well, here's a case of emergency C-rats in case you break down. And, you know, we do that. It's like C-rations. We're all excited. You know, we've all been around, you know, most of us been around at least a couple of years in the unit. It's like, oh, shit, they gave the C-rats. We're all excited because, like, the initial MREs came to tell you, Levi, the initial MREs suck. You know, the kids, they got it better. You know, I know my son, you know, when he came back from Afghanistan in 2009 the first time, John Brino brought home some MREs. And it was like, man, you guys get all kinds of good shit now. We need your back. Yeah.
Burn the whole thing down.
Yeah, you know, we had the stuff like, yeah, well, you know, you look at the MREs, like dehydrated beef patties. Yeah, okay, that thing is about as good as eating your boot.
Dang.
You know, beans and Wheaties, Levi, they took the beans and Wheaties and destroyed it.
For real?
Hot dogs for one package, and they had nasty old beans and some red paste. You know, and, you know, but, yeah, they kind of, the first generation MRE sucked.
Wow.
And so, the C-rats offer a lot more, so, and the fruit cake was better in C-rats than it was in the MRE. But a pound cake, whatever.
Right.
So, but, yeah, well, you know, I know it's great. You didn't have to do much else besides what field duties we had with the air camp. Of course, we were still, when you got there, we were still getting settled in. I mean, even though we pretty much weren't. But,
I keep hearing you say, cab, dude. Cab. You know, once you were in, and you were in the cab, you're always in the cab. It's just like, once you're a soldier, you're always a soldier. I try to say, you know, yeah, I'm a veteran. I'm a soldier, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because it built me, it built me into a mind state that I'm always a soldier, right? I can never not be a soldier. I can never not press on. I can never give up. I can't just back off sometimes.
Yeah, I feel the same way always.
This is how I am, right?
Right.
And sometimes, people who had never been in the military, you see them, they got the little bird cuts, and they want to be a cop, and they want to be this. Right? And then they got a little bird cuts, and I'm hardcore. We ran a mile and a half, and we did this, and we did that. And I'm like, that was at Fort Knox. We had agony, misery, and heartbreak, brother.
There you go.
You ain't never run one of those hills right there. You ain't never ran on nothing in your life. Okay? I can run. I'm a fat boy and I can run right now. If I had to get away from something, brother, believe me, I can get away.
You get away, huh? Oh, yeah.
There's times when I say, I don't want to get away because I'm not running. I'm not running from this situation. I'm going to stay and I'm going to stand my ground and I'm going to fight. And when it gets to that particular part right there, then all I see is red, then it's probably not a good thing for the person. But that's just me, And I say that's just me, but that's a lot because it's a whole bunch of veterans, a whole bunch of guys who, my brothers and sisters, people that still in, that feel the same way. I mean, we got our opinions, and a lot of times a lot of people don't want to hear our opinions. Oh, you can violence, you do this, you do that. Well, you know what? Sometimes it takes violence to get rid of the situation. I don't mean I don't advocate violence. I don't say, hey, first thing you should do is punch the guy in the face with stamina in the neck and then, shoot 2 or 3 times to make sure he's dead and all that. I don't advocate that at all.
Well, guys, we're 3 minutes away.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying? If you can walk away from it, walk away from it. But if it's a situation where you can't walk away,
oh yeah,
hey man, do your thing.
You got to stand your ground.
Yeah.
Hey Thomas, we about 2 minutes and a half away from the time.
Well, yeah, time goes quick here, Cain.
Yeah, real quick.
I'd like to wrap it up, Cain. We appreciate having you on the show. Is there anybody you want to say hi to if they listen in? The show will play for a week, so they got 7 days. That'll be podcast. And but if anybody want to say hi, and we do ask that share the link to the Facebook page and so on, and to the radio station. It'll be on every night starting Tuesday from at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. So, and I'll make sure to post them in the 517 Cav group, Cain. So, but if you got anybody you want to say hi to, you think will listen in, go ahead and say hi. Or if you got anything to say to anybody, go ahead. You there, Cain?
No, I didn't hear you for the last part. You kind of broke up on my end.
Yeah, I just said, if you got anybody you want to say hi to, go ahead and say it, on the radio station.
Oh, everybody, United States, the world. Levi, thanks for having me, man.
Right.
And, hey, stop chatting with me on Facebook and call me sometime, man. I'm just tired of you wanting to chat with me instead of calling me. Give me a text.
When I call you, you always got some damn excuse that you're working or something. Hey, I'll take your number. I lost your number too because my phone's been screwed up till this week. So,
this is 21st century. Send me a text like everybody else. Like that chicken.
I did get it fixed. It's time for surgery again.
Oh, man. Oh.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, okay, then.
Don't hang up, Kate.
Yeah, don't hang up. Well, we're going to end this show. Oh, it was a great show tonight. But,
I want to say thank you guys for letting me
well, we appreciate having you on, Kate.
Right, Kate sound like a radio star, right.
Yeah. Man, thank you for letting me talk about me a little bit and what I could talk about and being on the radio station. That was pretty cool, man. I ain't never been on the radio. Well, I guess I have before, but I was like a lot younger.
Yeah, well,
TV a couple times too.
Well, we enjoyed you. All right. All right. I want to tell all our listeners good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right.